in such distress, your body goes into survival mode.
No!
And you pass out, causing you to drown and ultimately die.
I'm Tori.
I'm Monique.
And this is Fishy Chatter, the podcast where we talk about fish keeping, crazy fish facts and stories, and at the end of every episode, Monique's Fishy Tales, where Monique will tell us something fishy. F-I-S-H-Y. Be it a crazy fact, story, murder, conspiracy theory, or just something freaking cool she's learned about fish. The focus of our show is going to be mostly on freshwater, but as the whole point of the podcast is to help us learn more about fish keeping, and neither of us have kept saltwater fish before, that is definitely a huge topic we can learn about.
Who knows? After we cover the topic on saltwater, I might want to get a saltwater tank.
You could get your own little Nemo.
I could get my own little Nemo. I could put like mermaid figurines in there, like mermaid decorations.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great.
Ocean mermaids,
sounds
not
really beautiful.
Freshwater mermaids. It's beautiful. And Monique officially has a new goal.
I officially have a new goal.
So especially if we get people requesting that, or if we kind of run out of educational how to set up your tank topics to talk about, we'll probably delve into saltwater eventually.
But really, we talk about fish so much, I don't think we're ever gonna run out of topics.
We could honestly probably just keep pushing saltwater off forever. Unless someone requests it.
Episode 1000.
Oh my goodness. That would be
weird.
How long would we be doing a podcast if we got to episode
If
1000?
we did, basically
two.
we'll be posting an episode every other week, and
52 weeks in a year.
So 52 weeks in a year. That's a lot of years. I don't think I'll live that long.
I'm pulling out my calculator. Okay. So if we're doing 26 episodes a year, so that'd be
divided by 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 divided by 26. So we'd be doing this for 38 and a half years.
Holy crap, we'll be retired.
This is our retirement plan.
Our retirement plan.
Right here. Beautiful. Okay.
Please donate to the Patreon we don't have.
Yeah, we don't have a Patreon. It's only episode 2. Donate towards our retirement fund.
We're poor.
Okay. Anyways, back to fish. I've been keeping fish for almost 2 years now. I got into it because growing up...
Wait, are we doing that introduction all over again?
It's going to be a watered down version.
Okay.
Watered down version.
Go.
Kind of a little intro in case you're jumping in on a random episode.
Alright.
Are you going to cut that out?
Probably.
Okay.
Sort of.
You're going to have to listen to every episode, the whole thing.
I know. Okay.
Maybe we should hire a producer.
Can we have an assistant? Assistant Brad.
We need more friends. So growing up, my dad always had a bunch of fish, so that's how I got into fish keeping.
And for me, Tori got me into fish. I've always liked fish, but Tori pushed me into having fish.
You met me and you're like,
I need one.
I hate needy animals, but I want to have a pet. I can be a fish mom.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is episode 2. Look at us. If we can do something twice, we can do it 100 times,
oh
right?
My gosh. Who knows how long this will last.
Can't stop us now. Or,
Can't stop.
At least 5 episodes.
True.
We can do at least 5. We can do that. Baby steps.
At least one episode at a time.
Baby steps.
One fin at a time.
We do already have quite a few episodes already planned out. But if you do have any requests for topics, like saltwater, you can feel free to contact us.
Please do our research for us.
No. They request topics for us, and we'll do all the research for them, so they just have to wait until the episode comes out and listen to it, and they should, because of the sheer amount of research.
Because who wants to do their own research? Why do your own research if you don't want to, when you could just listen in and listen to everything that you don't want to look up?
Okay, so for context, I'm planning a species spotlight on neon tetras, and I literally spent 2 to 3 hours at work yesterday listening to YouTube videos just about how to breed them.
And then this morning I'm like, you want to know a fact about Neon Tetras? And you're like, I didn't even know.
Yeah, so like what we're gonna do is we're going to do all the research for you and compile it, so once you listen to this, you should be good to go. Okay? So you just gotta come here, get all your information. You don't have to search all over the internet and be like, who's right, who's wrong? We'll have it all here, and if people who've been doing this for 20 years are like, you guys are actually wrong,
You can just email us. Just tell us we're wrong straight to our face.
please. So our email is fishychatterpodcast@gmail.com. Fishy like our show, FISHIE. Or you can just DM us at our Instagram, which is @fishychatterpod. So you can send us questions, corrections, requests, cute pictures of your fish or your cat. We love cats.
If you have an animal, basically.
We'd love to see them. So yeah, currently I have a 10-gallon tank, and I want to eventually upsize to a 75-gallon. I have guppies, cories, and a little baby golden dojo loach.
And right now I have a 10-gallon, and I'm hoping around May to get a 36 to 40-gallon. And I have guppies, neon tetras, and koi fish right now.
Sick. Okay.
Does that conclude our business?
That's our business. So on to the episode. So today, this is our second episode. Last week we talked about the nitrogen cycle, which is something you have to know if you're going to get into fish keeping. It sounds like something boring you learn in elementary school, or in your really boring biology class in high school, which you had after lunch every day when you were sleepy, so you just slept in the back of the class every day. I am not speaking from experience. So today we're going to talk about setting up your tank, like what kind of equipment and things you'll need.
Yeah, if you're an absolute beginner, I suggest listening to the last episode, because even I've only had fish for 6 months and I had no idea what the nitrogen cycle is. Now when I get home, I'm gonna be right on it. Luckily, none of my fishes have died, so I assume the water is great. So
I mean, if your guppies are having babies like they have been, clearly they're
safe.
They're very happy.
Very happy.
Yeah, so the nitrogen cycle is super, super incredibly necessary. Can't stress it enough. Go listen to the first episode if you're a beginner or just don't know what the nitrogen cycle is. So the first thing you should figure out when you're choosing your first tank is size. Okay? Where will your tank... mouth seizure.
Where will your tank sit upon in your home?
Yes. Thank you. Where will your tank go? What dimensions will fit in your home, and will you eventually want to have more than one tank? You don't have to think that far ahead, but it's just good to kind of keep in mind. I know some hobbyists on YouTube who've been doing it for 20 years actually converted part of their garage into a fish room.
Okay, goals. Oh my gosh.
Goals, yeah.
I
they
will
line
buy
their
a
walls
home
with tanks
just for that.
It's wild.
I love that. Looks like I know what I'm looking up pictures later.
So when you're shopping for tanks, they're going to be measured by gallons. So you got your 5-gallon, your 10-gallon, 75-gallon, etc. There is a myth, though. The smaller the tank, the easier it is to maintain. That is not necessarily true. Small tanks are going to actually be more affected by smaller changes to the water. So, for example, if you stick your dirty hands in the water and haven't cleaned them, there's going to be a less amount of water to dilute it. So it's going to be like a stronger solution in your water and will affect your fish a lot easier. So if you have a bigger tank and accidentally drop something in there that isn't supposed to go in there and pull it out right away, I don't know. If you put too much of a chemical in there, put an extra drop or two of pH up or down, whatever, it'll be diluted a lot more by larger tanks, obviously, more water. It'll be more watered down, and therefore you don't have to worry about your water levels changing as, well, just being as
Basically,
going
like
up and down.
basically, for example,
They'll stay
if
more
you
stable.
have like a small bedroom, you live in a small bedroom, one little mess, like it's just so much clutter if you leave one thing out. Whereas if you have a big room, you leave one thing out, it just doesn't affect your area as much.
Okay, that's actually a good comparison. Like, if you got your laundry on the floor of your room, it's gonna make your whole room like it's a hot mess.
Yeah.
However, if that's the only mess in your whole house,
Yeah,
your house
like
doesn't
if
look that messy.
yeah, exactly. See,
I hope people understand that metaphor.
we're so good at this.
so good at this.
So great.
We should do a podcast.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my
Whoa.
God.
We should
Okay.
have an Instagram.
Okay, so as far as water levels staying the same, easier, larger tanks are going to have a much easier time with that than small tanks. But larger tanks will take up a lot more of your time. Water changes are going to take a lot longer. Cleaning your tank will take a lot longer. Everything is just going to be a much more involved process. So you got to take that into account when selecting a size. I would recommend starting with a 5, 10, or a 20 gallon. Because it's like a happy medium. If you have like a 1 little gallon fish bowl, that's actually a lot more difficult than it seems.
And then like
So now that you know what size tank you're gonna get, that you can have in your home, you're going to need appropriate equipment for that size. You're gonna want to get a filter, and it does what it sounds like it does.
filters.
It's going to suck up the water through your tank. Different size filters will say how many gallons per hour it cycles through, and it cycles out the fish poop and all the yucky stuff. So fish poop.
Basically fish poop.
It keeps your water clean. It catches all the yucky things floating around, fish poop, uneaten food, etc. And that's where all of your good bacteria is going to end up going, and we kind of go over that in our last episode. Go listen to the last episode. And in your filter, you should have a sponge and you should have a cartridge. The sponge is going to filter out the bigger particles, so the water should pass through that first, so it catches all the poop and stuff, so it doesn't clog the cartridge. The cartridge is going to catch the smaller stuff, like minerals, chemicals, whatever. I'm sure our listeners know what I'm talking about.
I'm literally imagining a coffee strainer.
Yeah, it's like a coffee strainer, but it's like you have a sifter above a coffee strainer, okay? So you're going to catch, like, all the big pieces in one. That way the bottom one doesn't get clogged with the big pieces and can just filter the smaller ones. That's exactly what it is. You're going to want a net, of course. You're going to want some water conditioner. If you don't know what that is, essentially you can take tap water and follow the instructions on your bottle of water conditioner. Add the appropriate number of drops or teaspoons or whatever to your water, and it will take out all the heavy metals so that it doesn't kill your fish. If you do that, though, you also need to check the pH and acidity levels of your tap water, because depending where you live, it will be different, and you'll have to do it and adjust it to what kind of fish you have and what their needs are. What I have been doing is I filter my water through my Brita.
Your coffee machine? Your
No, it's not a coffee.
Oh, the one you
it's a water
put in
filter.
the fridge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I filtered through that, and so I tested the pH levels of my water before the filter and after, and it completely neutralized it.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so
I guess that's something you can do if you have terrible water, like where I live. You can just get a Brita water filter and pour that in there, put it in the fridge, let it filter.
Yeah, and then just make sure whatever it's at, it's what your fish need. You want to build your tank around the fish you're getting, not put fish in your tank that your tank. You don't want to build your fish around your tank, you want to build your tank around your fish.
Yeah.
So you buy a tank and prep it with the fish you want in mind.
You're not taking care of fish, you're taking care of water.
Yes, and the fish let you know if you're doing a good job or not.
Basically, listen to your fish. Watch your fish, and they'll give signs whether the water is good or not.
Yes, and we can go into that later. But you should also have water testing strips to test the quality and let you know if it's too acidic, if it's too hard, if it has too many nitrites or nitrates or ammonia, which you can learn about in our
in the first
episode. So you need those, and you should be testing your water regularly. You want to get a thermometer.
Not right here. Sorry, I thought of this pun. I've been trying to pick.
I'm like face palming right now. So you want a thermometer. You can get like an actual one, or you can just do what I do, and you can buy like a cheap sticker one that sticks to the glass, and it'll let you know.
So does it go on the inside or the outside?
Outside.
Okay, see,
Isn't that cool?
I had my little sister, when she bought her fish tank, she put it on the inside, and I'm like, that can't be right, and it just started peeling off. And I'm like, that is so wrong. And so when I cleaned out the fish tank, I obviously took that off.
Your sister literally did everything
She did everything you're not supposed to do. No wonder her goldfish turned black and then died. She put mollyfish in there, and it lasted a day, and it died.
Oh my gosh. Fish killer.
I know.
Pro fish life.
Fish funeral. But I learned from her mistakes, and I did nothing she did.
Yay!
So good to know. Next time I buy a new thermometer, I put the sticky on the outside of the tank, not the inside.
Yeah, when I got my first tank, I didn't get a heater because I got it in the middle of summer.
Oh, that works.
And my fish are tropical, and we live in the desert. We live in Arizona.
Middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere. Phoenix. So I didn't really have to worry about, it being too cold inside. However, I did get a thermometer on it so I could monitor it and make sure it wasn't getting too warm. And as the weather cooled down, I kept an eye on it. And as soon as it started, getting to the lower levels that were good for my fish, I went and bought a heater because I was kind of trying to do it on a budget and work around it and trying to prioritize what to get first or not. So you want your thermometer, and then you're going to want a heater, which does depend on your fish. Some fish are colder weather fish, and you don't even need a heater. However, some fish... Okay, so the benefits of a heater is you can actually... Some of the more expensive ones, you can adjust the settings and choose the temperature you want it at. The one I have, it just automatically keeps it at 76, which is perfect for my fish.
I actually don't have a thermometer. I should probably get one. It's because when that one didn't work, I just assumed everything is wrong.
That's fine.
So I never got one. I should probably get one, like a cheap one, the cheap ones that like stick to the sides.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I got off Amazon for like $6 or $8.
So see, I'm learning things.
Yay! That's the whole point of the show, us learning. Okay, so you got your heater, you got your thermometer, you got your testing strips, you got your filter. Do you need a bubbler?
This is what I've been waiting for.
Monique,
I go to the fish store and I see bubblers and aquariums, and I'm like, that looks amazing. But then our friend Jacob told us that his beta got like swept up by his bubbler and got buried underneath the sand when he tried looking for him. And I don't want that to happen. All my fish are so small.
Okay, so Jacob couldn't find his beta fish, so he started moving rocks around to see if it got stuck
and
somewhere.
And he buried his
beta.
He
freaking buried his beta fish.
It's alive and well, but it did happen. So I want to know what is up with bubblers.
Disclaimer, this was also his first tank, so it was a learning process. We all have those. We all have stupid little
things,
stories from when we first started. We all do it. We'll go over mistakes we've made. Yes, they're sad, especially when a fish passes away. Definitely. But someone's got to do it so that we can tell everyone else not to. Everyone's got them. Nothing to be ashamed about. So Monique, I've not talked to you about bubblers yet. Okay, so a bubbler. It makes bubbles.
Yeah. Okay, from what I know...
Tell me what you know about a bubbler, or what you
bubbles are there to, like, circulate oxygen in the tank. Like, just nod, or I don't know.
Yeah,
they're there to circulate oxygen. So, I assume that the bubbler helps with oxygen circulation, helps them breathe.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's kind of correct. However, they're not breathing they're not breathing like the bubbles themselves, kind of. What happens is the bubbler creates a current in your tank, and it displaces your water surface, and it kind of moves your water surface. And if your water surface is perfectly still,
Like if you don't have a filter, or does the bubbler act as a filter too?
it's not a filter.
It's not a filter.
No,
So you
bubbler separate from a filter.
absolutely need a filter.
Yes,
Okay.
you absolutely need a filter. No matter your tank, no matter what fish you have, you need a filter because that's how it keeps your water clean.
Okay.
Okay? Bubbler is separate. So your bubbler is going to create some water movement and break the surface tension. It's going to expose more water molecules to the air. And by stirring that up, it will put more oxygen into the water. So, with Jacob and his betta fish, some fish, like betta fish, have really big fins and they're weak swimmers. And if you're just going to have a betta fish in a tank by itself, the filter moving the water is plenty. You do not need a bubbler. The bubbler will create a water current too strong for that fish. And
It'll
you might
get
accidentally
swept up.
you
Yeah.
might accidentally bury it under the rocks. He's fine though. He's fine.
So if I have like a bigger tank, like a 70-gallon, and I just have a filter and the water's not moving much, a bubbler will help get that moving. Help them. Okay.
Yeah, I've even seen some people who have like really big tanks. They'll have multiple filters.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh, to circulate all the water because just one filter probably will hurt.
It'll put a strain on the one filter and
break it.
potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So the more fish you have in your tank, obviously the more oxygen they're gonna need. So if you have a busy tank like we do, a bubbler is not a bad idea. It's gonna just put more oxygen in your water. You will occasionally see people with tanks without bubblers. It's just not an exact science.
It's more of a
So-
if you wanna.
It's not an exact science. It's not like the bubblers are measured to let you know how much oxygen it's going to put in your water and how much you need for a number of fish. It's just kind of go with your gut.
If you don't want to get a bubbler, can you just get some live plants then? Or is the main part of bubbler is keeping the water moving?
The bubbler is going to help circulate the water in your tank. The plants will help a little. So like an ideal betta setup would have some live plants and it would have a filter and no bubbler.
Okay.
And betas also like little hammocks. You can buy a little hammock that's shaped like a leaf with a suction
Okay,
cup
that's adorable.
and stick it up against the glass. And whenever they're tired and want to rest, they'll just lay on top of the little hammock.
That is
Isn't that cute?
cute. He's
So-
living his best life.
right? So, bubblers aren't necessary for every tank. However, if you have more fish, you're going to want to get one.
Okay.
Even just in case. You cannot have too much oxygen in your tank. You just want to be able to know if your fish are strong swimmers. Or
It'll be
normal
kind of
swimmers.
like that time I got my wisdom teeth out and they put an oxygen in my nose and I'm like, this is the best day of my life. This is the most oxygen I've ever gotten.
I don't think it was
I think-
oxygen, Monique.
I know it was oxygen. So I can breathe before they put me under.
Oh, before they put you under, not what
And-
they used to put you under.
I feel like that's what the fish feel like. Like, this is the best day of my life. Look at
They're-
all this oxygen in this water.
They're high on oxygen
Yeah,
all the
they're
time.
high on oxygen. They're
Okay.
breathing in through their nose.
Anyways, moving past the bubblers.
Or gills, I guess.
You're also going to want a hose for vacuuming up the bottom of your tank.
That I need. I don't have that.
Yes. So what it basically looks like is just like a long flexible plastic hose, like a tube, and it's gonna have one end that will be like a suction and will suck up the yucky organic matter at the bottom. And then some of them will have like a little hand pump that you squeeze over and over again, and that creates a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And the other end, you're going to want to have like in a bucket or something. So it sucks up all the yucky water and all the yucky things up out of the tank, through the tube, out into the bucket.
I have Cory fish, and it's not really a big tank. There's not a lot of waste, and so is the vacuum needed? Like completely needed until I have a bigger tank, or is the Cory fish like doing their job? Because the tank's pretty clean.
So Koi fish are algae eaters, not poop eaters.
Oh, so the section is mainly so they'll eat the algae, whereas I'm in charge of getting the poop, like in a cat litter.
Yes. Now, Monique, you have sand.
Yes, I do.
Which means your poop doesn't really sink. Like, if you have gravel, it's going to fall between the cracks a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're using the vacuum, you're going to want to actually, like, press it into the gravel, shake it up a little bit, and it will soak and pull up all that nasty fish poop.
Whereas with sand, I could just graze over it?
With sand, you could kind of just go over it. The reason it looks a little cleaner is because your cores that are swimming along the bottom are kind of displacing it a little bit and making it float back up, and your filter's catching it.
Guess I know what I'm doing later today.
You also don't have to worry really about scaring your fish. I mean, they're used to it. They came from, pet stores where they do that. Like, It's just normal procedure. They're not scared of it. Like, you're not going to stress them out. They might be like, what's this? And then swim to the other side of the tank. But they're not going to actively want to go into a current that sucks them up into something scary.
Definitely, yeah.
So if you have like little baby fish fry, I don't really recommend doing it while they're still like teeny tiny babies, but if they get a little bit bigger, you don't really have to worry about them getting curious and getting sucked up. I've never had that problem.
Okay.
So, yeah, cool. Good to know.
Moving on.
You only have male fish now, so that's not really...
Yeah, it's not really a problem. I actually, when I got my Neon Tetras, I looked at them, they look like males, but she said it's a possibility 2 of them are females. So I'm like, how's it procreating? She's like, they're so stressed, they never procreate. So I'm just gonna assume they're males.
Yeah, I can take a look at them too, if you want, because I did all 4 or 5 hours of just researching.
The main reason I have all male take is procreation, so if they don't really procreate a lot, it's not a big worry for me.
No Adam and Eve, more just Adam and Steve.
Exactly. Got my ships.
So you're also going to want the hose. You're also going to want a bucket or some sort of pitcher, or, I just have a little 10-gallon, so I just have this big plastic bowl that I'll dump the water out into. You just use the same one every time. Yeah, so you're going to want something exclusive for water changes. I have a little pitcher that I got at Fry's for like $3. So when I filter my water through my Brita, I pour it in that pitcher, which I can then fill up more than my Brita, and then I can check the water temperature, I can add water conditioner, and then I walk it over to my tank and fill it up.
Whereas if you're me and DIY on a budget, you go to the dollar store.
Yes. Monique lives at the dollar store.
I live there.
So those are kind of the equipment that you need. I also highly recommend getting some Prazipro.
What is that?
It's basically fish medication.
Is it like additive?
It's like a little bottle of liquid.
Okay.
It's a little bottle of liquid. It's basically fish meds. It will treat your fish if they get sick with worms or parasites.
Like antibiotics, then?
Yes, except they're not antibiotics. They're not going to kill the bacteria in your filter. Mm-hmm. It's just going to kill like parasites and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I recommend using it whenever you introduce new fish to your tank. Especially from, let's say you are just so hyped and so excited and you go to like a Petco or a PetSmart and you're like, I want this fish, and there's like 3 or 4 other dead fish in there. I would recommend doing that, or quarantining them, keeping them in a separate tank, treating them with a Prazipro, and then adding them to your main tank. But, if you go in and you can tell they take good care of their fish, you probably don't have to quarantine them. That's up to you. Basically make sure the fish are healthy. And you can absolutely make sure, because you can't really see parasites and stuff. So you can do that. I just highly recommend doing that. I also recommend buying it as a preventative measure and not waiting until your fish gets sick. That way, you have it on hand if you find out your fish is sick. You don't want to notice your fish is sick late at night when all the stores are closed. And even though you have Amazon Prime, 2 days is still 2 days too many. So the sooner you treat your fish, the better. You definitely want to get that handled ASAP. So keep that on hand.
Guess I know what I'm doing later today.
I feel like this podcast is just going to make you spend more money because you're learning all these things. You need to get your hose. You need to get your Prazipro. Was there something else you needed to get?
The thermometer.
The thermometer, that's what it was.
Especially since Arizona weather is so wacky.
Yes. So if you have a saltwater tank, it's going to require different water treatment products. Again,
We don't know.
we don't know any of that crap.
Feel free to email
Not
us.
crap.
Darn, it's not dang.
Oh, diddly darn it.
Oh, darn.
Let's keep this family friendly. Again, just contact us if you want us to go over saltwater parameters and stuff. So next you're going to want to think about your substrate. Or that's just the word for what you choose to line the bottom of your tank. Some people will go for bare tanks without anything on the bottom.
Like,
literally no sand, no gravel, nothing.
really?
I personally don't like them.
I feel like having gravel or sand makes them happier, because I know some fish like the feeling of gliding along the sand or the gravel. Like, I have sand because guppies, but guppies are sensitive. Like,
I think you mean Corys.
Yeah, Corys. Sorry, yeah, Corys are sensitive and they glide along the sand, so I don't want them to get cut on gravel.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I highly recommend sand, especially if you have fish that are bottom dwellers and they're dwelling in the bottom level of your water. If you go for a bare bottom tank, just realize it's not going to feel as natural for the fish. A lot of fish get stressed out.
all fish get stressed out.
All fish get stressed out, but what it does is it's going to reflect light up at them, and it's just not a good environment for the fish, so I don't recommend it. If you can find fish where they don't care and it just works, that's fine. Just know that the more stressed out your fish are, the shorter their lifespan.
Kind of like
and the more susceptible to disease they are.
Kind of like in zoos, like with monkeys, they try to replicate their habitat so they're more comfortable, more happy.
So yeah, like Monique was mentioning, I highly recommend sand as your substrate if you have catfish, loaches, or any fish that, just dwell along the bottom of your tank. Especially fish with barbels or whiskers. So catfish and, some loaches. Maybe all loaches. I haven't researched every kind of loach out there. But fish with like little barbels, what they do is they'll actually filter the sand through their gills. And they'll like find the tiny little snacks and morsels in the sand. So you can watch them and they'll suck up a bunch of sand in their mouth and whoop, pop it out their gills.
That is cute.
So...
I'm getting a magnifying glass.
You won't need a magnifying glass. You won't need one.
They never come out of their castle, so...
So you want to make sure that the sand you choose is meant for aquariums. So get out at a pet store or something. Don't just buy playground sand or something. If you get sand that's too coarse, I've heard of cases where, the Corys will filter it as usual, but it's sharp. And it will actually cut their mouths, and they can lose their barbels, and they can get infections. It's just not a good time. So make sure you get sand meant for fish tanks. I know at the local fish store here, they actually have giant buckets and scoops, and you can buy it in bulk and weigh it and everything. Or, at Petco or PetSmart. I know a lot of fish keepers will, shit all over Petco and PetSmart.
I like PetSmart,
but
and I like Petco too.
They are really good for beginners, but also you can just get a lot of your products there. Sometimes they have coupons. You can get good decorations there as long as their aquarium person.
Yeah,
aquatics expert, I think is what they're called. Does a good job as long as you don't see dead fish in all the tanks.
Definitely.
You can pretty much assume that they're doing a good job and the fish are healthy, and just because it's not local fish store, which everyone raves about, yes, they're great, but you don't have to not ever go to Petco or PetSmart again, Gravel is totally fine too, like the little stones that you can have along the bottom of your tank. I did have gravel for a bit with Corys. I switched to sand when I got my loach because loach is like burying and hiding.
Cute.
He'll bury underneath my decorations and peek out. Stinking cute. But the gravel was okay with the Corys. But I'd see them just laying on the rocks. And I'd be like, that doesn't look very comfortable.
So with sand, they'll probably just be a little bit more happier. Just that little bit of more happiness.
Again, just picture like a course swimming along the bottom of your tank and you have really sharp sand.
Yeah. Like the difference between walking barefoot on rocks
Carpet
rather than walking
versus-
barefoot on sand.
Yeah, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. You definitely want to build your tank around the fish you're going to get. If you're going to get a pleco and guppies or mid and upper level swimming fish, you can pretty much have whatever you want at the bottom. But sand is also just beautiful. It just looks so nice and natural. And the more natural your tank is, I feel like the happier your fish will be.
Yeah, and it also makes like it easier for like when you're planting stuff, growing stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the roots will
Grow.
take hold.
Yeah.
They'll take hold a lot better. Which again, that's something else. Do you get live plants or fake plants? So live plants will produce algae, especially if your tank gets direct sunlight. But live plants will help improve your water quality, like we mentioned in the last episode.
Go watch the first episode.
Oh my god. Take a shot every time we tell you to watch the nitrogen cycle.
Definitely.
Or listen to the nitrogen cycle episode. The live plants will also help absorb some ammonia and put some oxygen in your water, and your fish like them.
Yeah.
Or, in my case, your fish might discover a newfound love of salad and eat them all over the course of 5 months.
Your guppies are hungry caterpillars.
Oh my god, they were so fat too. I'm like, I'm feeding you, you're eating salad.
Yeah.
Stop it.
That's definitely something I have to take into account, because when I get a 36 gallon, I want all plants, and I even want to plant grass too. So
Yes, I love grass and like aquatic grass or whatever it's called. Now fake plants are just as good as real ones when it comes to providing cover.
definitely.
Obviously they don't grow, so you don't have to worry about maintaining them, trimming them, putting what's it called, nutrients in the sand and whatnot for them to
Which
grow
I
better.
did wrong. Okay, that's probably the solution of what I was doing wrong. Because I did have live plants before, and stuff was happening to the plants where it was dying, and it was growing stuff that it shouldn't grow, which is why I took it out. It's probably because I absolutely just put it in there and said grow.
So, like I said, fake plants are just as good as real ones. Percy is the name of my dojo loach. He's obsessed with this small fake spiky plant I have in the corner. You wouldn't think he'd like it because loaches actually have skin on their bodies and not scales.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a lot more sensitive to like stuff like that. But he loves it.
Oh, that's cute.
He will take naps in it. He'll like weave his way through all the little spikes. He'll sleep under it. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe you're purposefully not growing because you don't want to outgrow your little shrub.
I have a tall orange fake plant that the guppies absolutely love. I know my yellow guppy, tuxedo mask, loves to hide behind the tree, and then when Shikamaru, my orange guppy, comes by, he like pops out, and then Zuko comes and chases Shikamaru around, and they'll keep doing that over and over again.
I love how different fish have different personalities. Like, you don't think that until you get fish and sit
Shikamaru
there and watch
hates
them.
everyone. He just wants to get away. He runs away from everyone.
In my first tank, same tank. Actually, no, my first tank, when I had my little 3-gallon and I had like 3 or 4 guppies in there, I named them all after characters from the Emperor's New Groove. And I had this little female with a bent back, and she was like blackish, bluish purple, and her name was Yzma, and she hid inside this little lair, this little cave inside this branch, and so she was just Yzma in her little lair the whole time.
That is cute.
And she wasn't exactly aggressive per se, but she was so crabby all the time.
All fish have their different personalities. You definitely want to decorate your tank based on them. I have some floor plants for my neon tetras because they're shy and they get very nervous and they like hiding behind things, but they stay at the bottom. So I have plants at the bottom for them to hide behind.
I'll also consistently find guppy fry or babies in that little shrub hiding from the adults.
Wow.
Because fun fact, bigger fish like eating small fish, even
This
if it's their own
happens.
children.
Yeah.
Now that we're talking
Sadly.
about death,
Oh
it's
my
time
gosh.
for Monique's Fishy Tales.
Okay, alright, today on Fishy Tales, we'll be, we'll be talking about how to survive if you're eaten by a baleen blue whale.
Yes! I'm so excited!
Alright, imagine you're on a beautiful cruise, you look out,
I hear
And you're-
seagulls.
and yeah, you hear the seagulls from Finding Nemo. Mine, mine, mine.
What a beautiful day.
It's amazing. The sun is shining. Wow. Then a wave comes and the boat goes right over the wave and a bump. There's no whales to keep you on the boat and you just fall off.
My
What
worst
kind-
nightmare!
What kind of cruise is this?
I know, I want my money back!
You just fall into the water,
Sploosh.
but you're like, it's okay. I don't have a life vest.
What?
But what I do have is the knowledge of knowing how to swim
Yes!
and lungs that have not swallowed a bunch of salt water.
Ooh, I'm already 2 for 2. We're good.
See?
I got this.
You're still alive.
Help!
You want to yell for help.
Help!
Help! Help! But as you're about to say, man overboard, to the family that's showing
Whoa.
their son the
Whoa.
seagulls.
Whoa. Don't assume my gender like that.
But as you're about to yell, person overboard, you get sucked down into the water
No!
in a current.
Not those dang currents!
A blue whale has opened its mouth to
Holy
suck up
heck.
a bunch of water. And if you don't know, this cruise ship you're on holds over thousands of people. Fun fact though, blue whales can suck up to, for example, if it had opened its mouth when the Titanic sunk, it could suck at least 3/4 of the entire ship's people into its mouth.
Freaking terrifying!
So, it sucks you up, and
That
you're
sucks.
holding your breath. You're holding your breath, and you look, you feel around.
Yes.
Am
too
I
dark.
dead? But I
Fuck.
can breathe. You're breathing in through your nose. You're not breathing in
Stinks
water.
so bad.
But you can feel all this water around you. You're still swimming. You feel around. It's sticky.
Ew!
It's yucky. There's a bunch of stuff around you. What do? A, do you open your eyes and look where you're at? Or B, you freak out and you keep your eyes closed.
I'm opening my eyes.
You're opening your eyes? Well, congratulations, because if you freaked out, your body would have gone into stress mode and you would have died.
Oh, shoot! Oh, shoot! Okay.
So,
Whew. I got this.
you've
I'm gonna
opened your
survive.
eyes, you look around, and you see that the whale has swallowed a bunch of glowing algae. And
This
it
is the
provides
most magical moment of my life.
It
even
really
I'm about to
is.
die.
it provides enough light to see that you are in the mouth of a baleen whale. How do you know? Well, baleen whales don't have teeth. They have bristles. Like in Finding Nemo, when they are swallowed by a whale, that whale is a baleen whale. Yes, Tori, you're raising your hand.
Can I find Marlon and Dory and ask them for help?
No.
Can I phone a friend?
You can't phone a friend. The only thing in there
I
are
don't have
algae.
service. I don't have service.
It's
in the
algae
whale.
and water.
Okay.
Okay. So you
What do I do
open your
next?
whale, but your joy is not long lived. The whale decides it is time to eat its food. What do? A, try to swim away from its throat that's swallowing you up, or B, accept your fate.
I'm swimming away.
A, you chose A, try to swim away.
Yeah.
In such distress, your body goes into survival mode,
No.
and you pass out, causing you to drown
I
and
died.
ultimately die.
No.
Try again.
Dang it.
Will you accept your fate? Or is this the end of your story?
You know what? Even though I'm trying to swim away, I'm such a weak swimmer that I'm gonna get sucked up anyways.
You're gonna accept your fate then.
I'm accepting my fate.
You
This is
accept
the
your
end.
fate.
It's a beautiful
B.
end. I'm happy with it. I love fish. This is the good way to go.
Well, good news, you won't die today. Because baleen whales are as tiny as a small grapefruit. It can only swallow that algae in tiny little particles.
Like their throat?
Their throat, their cells.
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing. Their throat
The whale is a grapefruit.
is as small as a golf ball. So it can't suck you up at all. You'll literally just clog it up as you go. So now all of that liquid is out. He has eaten his food, and the whale notices there's something in my tummy, in my mouth,
Clogging the throat.
that I can't swallow. So he spits you out.
Yes!
He spits you out.
Yes!
You're free. But you notice, oh no, you're underwater still.
How deep did he dive?
So baleen whales like to digest their food at around 65 feet underwater. So you can either A, accept your fate, or B, try to swim as fast as you can up.
I'm gonna try to swim.
You're going to try to swim as fast as you can up. Well, congratulations. When he spits you out, he turns around to swim to another place for more food, and he hits you with his tail and pushes you up to the water.
I'm pretty sure I got the bends from that, but at least I'm alive.
You get to the surface. Now what do? Yell for help? Or look for a floating piece of board that obviously fits 2 people?
Don't let go, Jack. I'm gonna call for help. Do I have a rape whistle? Can I blow that?
No, you don't.
Dang.
Your answer is, once you reach the surface, listen to a different podcast because I'm not telling you how to survive in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
The cruise ship has left you behind long ago.
Rude. Okay.
The end.
That's nice.
And that was Monique's fishy tale of the day.
How to survive getting swallowed by a whale.
How to survive getting swallowed by a baleen whale. Literally, you have to do nothing.
That's
because
so metal.
it's going to spit you out anyways at 65 feet under.
Just have to, make sure you don't freak out. And that's
Yeah,
it.
freak out, conserve your energy, and then when it spits you out, swim as fast as you can up and hope it hits you with its tail to, give you a little push.
And hopefully I don't get the bends and don't get a bunch of oxygen in my blood.
Exactly.
That's
See?
great. That's great.
Wonderful.
Cool. Well, looks like that's it for this week's episode, unless there's anything else.
No, all right.
that's
Join
it.
us for next episode.
Hope you guys all enjoyed it. Again, you guys can feel free to contact us at fishychatterpodcast@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on Instagram at fishychatterpod. If you have any questions, corrections, or requests for topics you'd like to cover. Like us to cover. Guys, and don't forget, in life, there's always a bigger fish. Be
That
that bigger fish.